Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of the RootMotion Locomotion tutorial series. Today we're going to finish the coding for our run to work that we set up in the blend space last video. We will also add a walk run toggle to be able to switch between them, since in most games run is the default. But I like to have the option to walk for those great screenshot moments and video moments, so we're going to set that up today also. I hope you enjoy the video. Without further ado, let's get into it. Since we already set up our running animations in the blend space, all that we need to do now is set up the code in our character blueprint. We're going to expand on the movement input code where we set the forward and side input access variables. This is where we will handle the speed to run and walk. Because we set up the blend space to -2 and 2 in the previous video on the axis, our walking will be half of that. So it will be 1 and our running will be 2. So to get the correct speed, we're going to need to multiply. So before we do that, we need to set up an input to toggle walking running. So we're going to go to Edit, Project Settings. We're going to go down to Input. We're going to add an action mapping. Hit the plus on your action mapping. Rename this to toggle walk, whatever you prefer to name it to. And then we're going to set our key. So you can set this to whatever key you would like to set it to. I always use left alt, so that's what I'm going to set mine to. Okay, we got that set up. And then now if you haven't opened up your character blueprint, go ahead and do that. We're going to do everything now in our character blueprint. So these are the forward and side inputs that we're going to need to finish the coding on to get our running started. That we set up in the last video. First, we need to go ahead and create a new variable. We're going to make sure that that's a Boolean and name it isRunning, running, whatever you prefer to name it to. I'm just going to name it running with a question mark. And we're going to go ahead and right click, type in toggle walk. We're going to select the toggle walk input action. Okay, and then we're going to create a branch, so hold B and click, and we're going to connect that to our toggle walk. And then we're going to bring our running, and we're going to get our running variable we just made. Do a not Boolean. Now we're going to drag out from our branch, and we're going to set running. And we're going to duplicate that, so hit Control D to duplicate that. We're going to connect that to the false. And then we're going to connect on we're going to click on the running. So make sure that that's true. That way, so when we are running, we're not going to be able to run again. And if we're not running, we will be able to run again. So basically, the not running condition, if we are running, if that is true, if we're not running, then we're going to be able to run. If we are running, then that will be false, and it'll switch from run to walk. It won't allow us to run again. Now we're going to do our multiplication with our forward and side inputs. We're going to set up one input, then copy and paste to the other input and change the needed variables. Just makes it a little bit easier and cleaner to do. So we're going to disconnect the forward input from the input axis. So go ahead and disconnect that. Move that over. We're going to create a branch here again. So hold B, click. We're going to need some room here, so I'm going to move this stuff out of the way for now. Let's go ahead and move this here. Just move that about there. Go ahead and stretch this out. So what we're gonna want to do here, we're gonna need room up top too. We're gonna drag from our axis, and about right here before the branch, we're gonna add a reroute node. So type in RER reroute, click reroute node. We're gonna do that below it as well. It's just gonna help us make stuff a little bit cleaner. So we're gonna go ahead and duplicate this so that we have 2 copies of our forward input. This reroute node, we're just going to drag straight to here. Go ahead and connect this to true and that to false. All right, so from the forward input, drag off of there, we're going to add a multiply. We're going to connect that to our top reroute node. Go ahead and double click on this. We're just going to clean this up a little bit, just make it look a little bit neater. And we're going to move this stuff in. And let me select that too. Move this stuff in here. So remember that our axis for our forward movement is -2 and +2, and same thing for the side input is -2 and +2. So to get our speed, we're going to need to multiply by 2 here, and that's going to give us our speed for our forward input. So I'm also going to go ahead and add a print string on the end of this. And I like to use the actual input variable for this. So drag off the end string and type in append. We're going to get an append for this. And we're going to connect this down to the bottom. To the B pin. And then we're going to do forward input there. And this is just so I can see that it's actually working correctly. And when you get into more stuff as far as morphing montages, if you want to do any type of motion warping, parkour, anything like that, you're going to want to be able to see what your input's doing to make sure that the stuff is correct. So from here, we're going to copy everything except for the input. So copy all of this. And we're going to disconnect this. Go ahead and get rid of that. Paste this in here. Connect our axis to our reroute nodes. Go ahead and connect our input axis to our branch. And then we're just going to drag off from our side input and drag over the top of the forward input set. And that's just going to change our variable to the correct variable. Go into our append and change the forward to side. Go ahead and compile and save. And let's test that out, make sure that this is working. So you can see it's kind of just constantly going over there on the left. We're going to fix that real quick. But that tells me that it's working correctly. So duration. So we need to just set the duration to 0 on these to fix this. Go ahead and compile and save. We play. So now we just have inputs. Switches to 2 forward. Backwards switches to -2. And as you can see, we're running now. Side input -2 for left, 2 for right, 2 and 2 for forward right, 2 and -2 for forward left, -2, -2 for backwards left, and -2 and 2 for backwards right. So now we have our running added in. Let's make sure our toggle works. Okay, toggle's not working, so we need to fix that. Okay, so this is what I forgot to do here. So we got to add our running to our branch conditions. So go ahead and drag those out over to the condition. Save. Let's test that out again. And there you go. You'll start off in your walking. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our camera zoom. Let's get this cleaned up real quick first. I don't like leaving this all sloppy. So this is part of our movement, so we're going to move this over into our movement input section. And you know what? I'm going to drag this down and click bubble there. We're going to need space for other stuff. Let's go ahead and set up print strings for this also. We can just do print text for this. We don't need to do a print string. So this one, running, and then click on it, Control D to duplicate it. This one, walking. Bring this one up some. Let's get that one. There we go. Perfect. Go ahead and compile and save that. All right, that looks better. We need to probably bring this in a little bit further. Same thing up here. This way we have room for when we add our sprinting in, because we're going to need more space at the end of this. So, but for now, we should be okay there. Should be good. Sometimes I get a little OCD if I'd spend too much time messing with it, so we're going to leave it alone and move on to our camera zoom. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and do our zoom in and out. So we're just going to get right click, we're going to get a mouse wheel axis event. We're going to drag out from here. We're going to add a multiply. We're going to grab our camera boom. We're going to get the camera boom. We're going to drag off of that. Get target arm length. Do an add off of that. Let's drag off and let's do an add. Control. If you hold control, you can click on this and move it down. And then put that one there. Set this to -10 to to start with. This is going to determine how quickly in and out, how many clicks it takes to scroll in and out. So we're going to add that, and then we're going to clamp that into a float. Do a clamp float. This is where we're going to add our values for the camera. So we're going to do 100. Let's do 100 and 300. And then off of that, set target. Set target arm. Get your camera boom, and then we'll drag off of there. Couldn't remember which one it was off of. That variable that was down there, don't worry about that. That was from me testing. I forgot to delete that. So then we're going to connect this to the return value. And that should be it. We should be good. So let's go ahead and test that out. Scroll in. Looks like 300 is our normal. Let's take a look at that. What's our normal? So 400 is our normal. So let's take this up to 700. We'll do 300 in, 300 out. You can see that's going to take a few times to scroll in and out for it to go in and out. I like to do -50. It's a little bit smoother if you do -50. So there we go. We've got it all set up. Now we've got our running that we set up last videos working. Switch into running. Zoom in and out with our mouse scroll. Probably set. Let's do the camera. I think 100 may be too much. Let's do 200. And then we can do 600. That way we keep it even. There we go. That way you get a good view, screenshots and stuff. Other than the choppy animations from Mixamo, I mean, it is what it is, but, you know, the left, even the running is choppy to the left. Just something about Mixamo when you're in important, it never works right. Just not the greatest. I used the Mixamo converter for these, even, and it still didn't work right, but, you know, it works for the tutorial. So you should see all your inputs and stuff in the top left of your screen. If you want to change colors for stuff, looks like I only have that set on the walk. Why is that only working on the walk? Let's take a look at that real quick. That's weird. I'm not sure why that's doing that. I'll have to look at that. And we'll fix that at the beginning of the next video. Yeah, because that should be working even when we're running. So I'm not sure on that. So we can fix that in the next video. I'll go ahead and let me note that real quick so that I don't forget. Fix print strings only working on walk. So in the next video, we'll update the movement to include the sprinting, as well as set up camera lock to the character movement like I have set up in my videos. If anybody would like to add that as well, I'll leave that up to you. Let me know in the comments, and I will plan around adding that if it's wanted. Thanks for watching. I hope it was easier to follow this time. I apologize for the text the last time, but that was the best I could do to try to get it out to help the people that were needing help with it. I'm new to making tutorials, so it's going to be a learning experience for me. I'm kind of an introvert, so this is kind of going to help break me out of my shell a little bit. So please keep that in mind. Bear with me. Any suggestions are appreciated. Let me know down in the comments. I appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.